Hello! We're learning about the reasons why many animals migrate today. We're going to learn about 3 reasons. And to do that, we're going to learn about 3 different animals, and we'll try to figure out why each of those animals migrates. So what I want you to do is have your whiteboard and a marker, because each time we learn about one of those reasons, we're going to jot that reason down on our whiteboard. Jot means do like a quick picture or quick words about why they migrate. So let's go ahead and start with the first animal, which is in my book. I have so many notes here for myself to remember what pages to start and stop on. Okay, this is our first animal. You know what that one is? The zebras. It says the lifespan for a zebra is 25 years. Size, they're up to 60 inches tall at their shoulder. That's how tall I am. So that's about as high as their shoulder. They weigh 440 to 990 pounds. That's about 3 to 6 adult men put together. And it tells a little bit about each of the parts of their body, but we're not going to read all of those right now. They're not important to what we're learning about today, although they're interesting. But I'll read this. Survival stripes. Every zebra has a different stripe pattern, like a human fingerprint. A newborn zebra learns its mother's pattern right away, so it can identify her. That's amazing. And it says, camouflage, an animal's natural color or form that allows it to blend in with its surroundings. And that's what the stripes on a zebra are. They help it to camouflage, so those stripes make it hard to see the exact outline of it if it's far away. Okay, let's read about the migration of zebras. In Botswana, Africa, up to 30,000 zebras migrate every year. Thousands of zebras travel in herds and live in the, it's a hard word for me here. Hang on, live in the Makadikati and Ni Pan National Park. Scientists believe their journey is about 360 miles round trip. That's like walking all the way across the state of Wyoming. There's a lot of numbers there. It said about 30,000 zebras migrate each year in herds of about a few thousand, and they migrate 360 miles round trip. And over here it says, weird but true, zebra manes are striped like the rest of their bodies. That's cool. Oh, and let's take a look at this map. This is Botswana here, and then this is where the part where they live and migrate. During the dry season, so when there's not a lot of rain, during the dry season, the zebras stay near the Boteti River. It is the only water source available. All other water holes dry up. Around the river basin, zebras eat grasses and roots. After several months, most of the nutritious food is gone. So when the rainy season begins, the zebras move east to the flooded Makadikati salt pans. New grasses and new water holes spring up with the rains there. The zebras stay 5 to 8 months until the water holes dry up. Then they return to the Boteti River basin. So let's look at that map again, because I think it showed us both of those areas. So here, do you see the orange outline there? That's the Boteti River basin, the riverbed there. And then the Makadikati salt pan is over here, okay? So they go from here to here. Now, do you remember why the zebras go? So they're by the riverbed in the dry season, and why are they there? It's the only source of food and water. But then, when it starts to rain, they move out to other areas because when it starts to rain, there's other sources of water, and they said that new grass also sprouts up. Okay? So they're by this riverbed in the dry season, but it sounds like they eat up most of the grass in that area while they're there. So then once it starts raining in another area, they move to that other area where there's plentiful food. Okay, so we learned a reason. What's the reason that those zebras go from place to place? Yeah. Food and water, right? So they're traveling with their sources of food and water. So one reason that animals might migrate is to find food and water, right? They need a plentiful source of food and water. And that goes back to what we talked about animal needs. They need food, they need water. And if that isn't plentiful where they live, they're going to go someplace else. So that's what happens with these zebras. So reason number one that we're learning about of why animals migrate is food and water. So let's draw a picture of that. Just draw a picture. You can pause me if you need to and just draw food and water. Or you can write the words. I'll write the words here. All right, food and water. Here's my words, food and water. So if you want to pause me while you can still see the words, there they are. And something to just help you remember what those are. And I'm going to just kind of draw the grass on here as food because it sounds like that's what the zebra were eating, but it might not be grass, obviously, for all animals. But they're looking for food and water that are plentiful. Okay, then I'm going to draw a line under that. And if you need to pause me to finish that up, go ahead. Food and water. And then we'll read about another animal and another reason why animals migrate. Okay, we'll keep going in this book. Well, the next one is cool. Well, they're all cool, but I like this one. Red crabs. And we did see this in one of the books we read earlier. Red crabs. Their size is up to 4.5 inches across, so maybe about like that big. Their weight, 1 pound. Pretty cool. Let's look at this. Word-wise, scavenger, an animal that feeds on dead plants and animals and items left behind by others. So, red crabs are scavengers. It says up here, let's start with the weird but true. Crabs use almost the exact same migration route every year. Wow. Okay, here we go. On Christmas Island, off the coast of Australia, up to 120 million red crabs. 120 million? What? Up to 120 million red crabs migrate from the forest floor to the ocean. So where are they going? They're coming from the forest floor and they're going to the ocean. It is a long 5-mile journey full of danger. That's a far ways for a little creature to go, 5 miles. The red crab's body is built for life on land, but their young can only hatch in ocean water. So the crabs migrate to find a mate and release their eggs in the water. And this is where they live. Here's Australia, and you see that star right there? Christmas Island is where they live. So we kind of learned here why they go. They're suited to live on land. They're designed for life on land. But why do they go to the ocean? Their young can only hatch in ocean water. Yeah, so to find a suitable place to have their babies. Red, number 1 up here, it says red crabs leave their forest homes. Number 2, millions of crabs must climb down steep cliffs to reach the ocean? 3. Males are the first to arrive but are soon outnumbered by females. And 4. Females leave the burrow after almost 2 weeks. And then I'll read the rest of the words. Those are just the captions on the pictures. The captions on a picture means those words that go with the picture. Okay. Red crabs come out of their holes called burrows after the season's first big rain. They travel from their forest home for more than 1 week. They cross roads and climb down 40-foot cliffs. Finally, they reach the ocean. Male crabs get there first to dig burrows. Then the females arrive, and the males fertilize the eggs inside the female's body. Males return to the forest, while the females stay in the burrows for up to 13 days. That's almost 2 weeks. Before dawn, the female crabs leave their burrows. Enter the water. Before dawn, dawn is like when the sun rises. Before dawn, the female crabs leave their burrows, enter the water, and perform a kind of dance to release their eggs into the ocean. A female can release up to 100,000 eggs. Then they return to the forest. The eggs hatch into larvae in the ocean. After 3 to 4 weeks, the larvae change into young crabs and crawl up on the land. The tiny crabs are about a quarter of an inch long. That's just like the teeniest little crab, so tiny. Word-wise, larva, an animal's worm-like form that hatches from an egg. Instinct means behavior that animals are born knowing how to do. This migration is an instinct for these animals. Pink, this part down here says pink tide. When the baby crabs leave the ocean and walk toward the forest, they look like a pink tide. The water looks pink. The babies know how to get to the forest by instinct. It means they were born knowing how to do it. Wow. Okay. So that's the red crab. Now, why do the red crabs migrate? Why do they make that journey to the ocean each year? Yeah, to have babies, right? So let's write on here, babies. Babies. And I'm going to draw a picture of like a big crab. And then I'll draw a picture of the baby crab. Okay, so there's a big crab. And then just so I remember what we were talking about, I'm going to draw the teeny tiny, oh my gosh, so tiny. I can't even draw it with this marker because it's too thick. Teeny tiny baby crab. Okay? So far we've talked about 2 different reasons why animals migrate. Food and water, and babies, to have their babies, right? Either they want to find a safe spot, or maybe that's the only kind of area. Like this one, the crabs had to go because their babies will only hatch in the water, right? So that was the perfect spot. So it's the perfect spot, or it's a safe spot, or maybe it's a spot that has the right temperatures, it's protected. All different reasons why they might migrate to have their babies. So the first reason we talked about was to make sure that they have plentiful food and water. The second reason, to have their babies. Okay, I'm going to put a line here. If you need more time, go ahead and pause the video. And we're going to talk about one more reason why animals migrate. Okay, I'm going to switch books now. I'm going to put this book aside. And this is a really beautiful book, and we're only going to read part of it today. But I assure you, this book is amazing, and we'll come back to it again. Going Home, The Mystery of Animal Migration by Marianne Burks, illustrated by Jennifer DiRubio. Okay. So this has kind of like some poetic language in it. And it talks about all different animals and their different migrations in poems. So listen to how I read it. First of all, do you know what animal that is? Starts with an M. Yeah, it's a manatee. Okay, let's read that one. Going home, I can find my way. Navigating toward the coast where I used to stay. When it was cold, I had to move. I floated near the shore until I found a warm lagoon where I could eat some more. Listen to it one more time and see if you can really pick out. There's a couple sentences that tell you why the manatee had to migrate. Going home, I can find my way, navigating toward the coast where I used to stay. When it was cold, ding, 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 I had to move. I floated near the shore until I found a warm lagoon, ding, 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 where I could eat some more. Yeah, if it gets too cold, they have to move to a warmer place. And then when temperatures cool down again, or warm up again, they can go back to that warm place, right? But when it cools down, they have to go to another place that's warm. Manatees migrate as water temperatures change. If the water is too cold, they will die. They often follow the same route that their parents did, chewing on vegetation along the way. Yeah, so they migrate with the temperatures and the seasons. Okay, so let's add that to our board. So another reason that animals migrate is temperature. If it becomes too hot, they might go to a place that's cooler. If it becomes too cold, they might go to a place that's warmer. And they might just leave for that one season. Like the manatees, when it just gets too cold maybe in the winter, so they leave, right? And head to a new place. But then once the place where they were warms back up, they'll come back to be in that place. So let's write here temperature. And you can either sound it out, or I'm writing the word here and you can look at it. Temperature. And I'm going to add something to help me remember. I'm going to put a sun, which I'm using to show warmth. And then I'm going to draw a snowflake to show cold. I know it can be sunny when it's cold. So it's not, not to say it's not sunny when it's cold. But if it's too hot, they'll find a spot where it's cooler. Or if it's too cold, they'll find a spot where it's warmer. So temperature. And just a climate, a better climate, right? Food and water, babies, temperature. 3 reasons why animals might migrate. Okay. So we've talked and learned about 3 reasons why animals would migrate. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you all to put on your teacher's hat and pretend that you're a teacher. Now you're going to need some students. So you can find stuffies. If you have some stuffies, and you can set them up as your students. Or if you have little Lego people, you could set those up. Or if you have a pet, you could be a teacher for your pet. But what I want you to do is take your notes for the 3 reasons why animals migrate. I want you to take these with you. And I want you to teach your class, teach your students, whoever they may be, about why animals migrate. So teach your students. You're going to have to tell them all these different reasons why animals might migrate. And you could, one thing that's really helpful is when you're teaching is if you give an example. So tell them about animals that migrate for food and water, right? Tell them about animals that migrate to have their babies. Tell them about an animal that migrates when temperatures change. We learned about examples for each of these, and you could teach that to your students. So that's your job now, is to be a teacher. Teach your students why animals migrate. Okay. I'm so excited for you to do that. Okay, teachers, go ahead and do some teaching.